Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you very much for taking in the time of your day to watching another one of Awesome Joe's play back-to-back movie reviews. And today's going to be a very special day because today is, as a matter of fact, Mother's Day, and it is a very important day not just to an in particular amount of people, but to everybody, because we all would not be who we are and where we are today if it wasn't for our dear old mothers who carried us in their belly for 9 months, dealt with us growing up, fed us, put a roof over our heads, everything. So I want to go ahead and wish every single mother out there in the whole entire world happy Mother's Day to you from Awesome Joe. But not only do I want to wish every mother out there, but I want to wish one in particular mother that is somebody that I've known my whole entire life, which is my own mother. And I want to wish my mom happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I love you. And she's a very great woman. I mean, she's one of the best moms in the whole entire world. I would not be who I am and where I am today if it wasn't for her. Great woman. Very thankful to have an awesome mother just like her. And I want to go ahead and celebrate this by having to go ahead and do the quick review that I had put together for having to watch the movie Overboard 2018 in theaters, and would like to review the original Overboard back in 1987. So let's go ahead and get started here, because this is all for all you mothers out there. Happy Mother's Day. Let's get it started, guys. So first off, we're going to be talking about 1987's version of the original Overboard. So this movie is directed by Gary Marshall, and then we have the two great 80s stars of this movie, Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. We got Edward Herrmann and Michael Haggerty, and so many others within the film. And this movie, it's a movie that I grew up with because I was born in the 80s, and I was always so, not overexcited, but, happy enough to go ahead and enjoy watching this movie every time it appeared on TV. And I love the whole idea as to how this movie progresses itself. You got your average, typical, selfish, rich woman, which is Goldie Hawn's character, and is introduced to Kurt Russell's character, which happens to be a carpenter, and he does some work on her closet. She's very unsatisfied, and she throws him off board, throws all of his tools over, costing him hundreds of dollars. And so later on that day, she happens to stumble off of her boat, and then the next day she gets amnesia, and that's where Kurt Russell's character gets his revenge on her by having to pick her up from the hospital and bring her to his home to be the mother to his children, and to pay off everything that she owes him for all the hard work that he's done for her. And I love the idea. It's a really great idea. This is a really great movie. I had a lot of fun with this movie growing up, and like they say, don't ever mess with the original, because sometimes you might destroy the original. And even though it's a classic, especially with stars like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell here, on Rotten Tomatoes they gave it a 46%, and for me, I actually liked it a little bit more, enough to go ahead and pick it up to a 51%. I very much admire this movie. It's really great. It's an awesome movie. If you haven't watched Overboard 1987, go out there and watch it. Buy the movie, or if you happen to catch it on TV, take a gander at it. Tell me what you guys think. You can always put a comment in the section in the bottom, and we can have an awesome conversation regarding towards this movie, because it's a really great 80s movie, one that's very favorable and unforgettable. And I highly think that this movie, in my opinion, I don't think that a movie such as good as this one should be remade, in my opinion, per se. So that's my review for 1987's Overboard. Let's go ahead and jump on to the remake version of Overboard 2018. And this one is Overboard 2018, which director is Rob Greenberg. And we got the stars of this movie: Eugenio Debrez, Anna Faris, Eva Longoria, John Hanna, Swoozie Kurtz, Mel Rodriguez. This is a very interesting remake because quite normally I'm not very fond of remakes to an original film. And this one, I believe that they changed it up a little bit. They did a lot of different things, but stayed to the original story, stayed to the original characters. But if you ask me, I think that because I think that Eugenio Derbez does an incredible job in his acting career. I think that he does an amazing job. He has some really great movies. You know, he's a very funny guy. And he's very funny in this one too, but I don't think that he very much captured that whole, because he's playing the opposite sex version of Goldie Hawn. Is, you know, it was a woman in the original. Now we're turning to a guy in this remake, with Anna Faris playing Kurt Russell's character, being the woman this time. And I could tell that they try to make this their own movie, but still staying to the aspects of the original. And it's very Spanish cultured. You know, you get a lot of Spanish language spoken within the movie, reading subtitles, which are very funny. Not very funny, but you know, it gets you entertained throughout the movie. And they did stick to the same original, you know, like throwing the person overboard, and you know, amnesia, picking up, taking care of the kids, cleaning up the house, so on and so forth. The only difference is that the Goldie Hawn's character was very much a full-time mom, taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, so on and so forth. But this one is not only just that, but also having to do, you know, some full-time construction work. So that's and when he does that, it's very funny because he's a man who is not who's never worked a day in his life, and so it's very funny when you get to see it on what he does throughout the movie. And I'll admit that there is one scene in this movie that really touched me. It was a really excellent scene. I will admit, I know I'm a man, and I'm gonna go ahead and admit this, that I did cry in a scene that really touched me. It was deep, it was hardcore, it really inspired me and captured me in this movie. And not most movies do that, so it gives the movie a huge plus. So it's a really great movie, but if you'd ask me, I think that the chemistry between these two are not as pure as the original characters of Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell. I think the original two had a great love bond between the two. But this one, it felt a little bit more forced. It felt rushed. But otherwise, it's still a great movie. I had a lot of fun with it. And quite normally, like I said, I don't really agree with remakes as much. I'm pretty much the original going guy. On Rotten Tomatoes, they lowered it since Rotten Tomatoes for the original OverBoard was at 46%. The remake is at a 30%. So it's not very fond of as much as the original, which is, of course, I highly agree. But for me, since I very much enjoyed this, and there are so many pluses within this movie, I give it a 47%. It's a great movie. It's not as great as the original, but it's still a good movie. I would very much would like to go out and watch it again. It's a great movie. It's a great, interesting, and enjoyable time. If you want to have a few laughs, you know, having to go out and be entertained, you know, besides having to go out, Avengers: Infinity War, or the new Deadpool movie coming out in a couple of days, Overboard's a great movie to go and watch. So that's my review for the original and the remake version of Overboard. What did you guys think? You can always comment in the section at the bottom, and we can always have an awesome conversation regarding towards this movie or any movie in general that you guys would like to talk about. So I want to thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching this video. You guys are a huge inspiration to me into making these videos. It's a great personal hobby of mine. I love to do this. I love to talk about movies, but more importantly, I love to talk about them with you. So I'm Awesome Joe, and again, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. You know, it's a very complicated experience for especially single mothers out there who have to raise their children to their best to their best perfection. And I know it's very complicated out there, so I am very fond and I have very high respects for all those mothers out there who do their very utmost to raise their children in the way that they wish them to be. So huge respects to you, moms. Again, happy Mother's Day, and as always, stay awesome. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.